January 2022, AFC Divisional Round. Bills vs. Chiefs. Buffalo scores with 13 seconds left to tie it. The stadium loses its mind. It's one of the greatest finishes in recent memory. Then, the Chiefs win the coin toss, drive down the field, score a touchdown, and that's it. Josh Allen never touches the ball. The Bills are eliminated without their offense playing a single snap in overtime. The backlash was instant, and it was deserved. Going back to 2010, teams that won the overtime coin toss in the playoffs went 10-2. 7 of those 12 games ended before the other team ever got on the field. It wasn't a fluke, it was a structural problem. And that game was the breaking point. That moment kicked off what's become the most significant stretch of rule changes in NFL history. Overtime, kickoffs, tackling, replay. The league has been reworking major pieces of the game since 2022, and it isn't done yet. Here's everything that changed, why it happened, and what it's actually meant for the game. In March 2022, NFL owners voted to guarantee both teams at least one possession in postseason overtime, even if the team receiving first scored a touchdown. The rule was simple in concept but massive in impact. A coin flip could no longer end a playoff game on the opening drive. It debuted in dramatic fashion. Super Bowl 53, February 2024. Chiefs vs. 49ers. San Francisco wins the toss, receives, scores a touchdown. Under the old rules, game over. Instead, Mahomes gets the ball, drives the length of the field, and the Chiefs win. Whether you were rooting for Kansas City or not, both sides got to play, which is all anyone was asking for. The regular season, though, still ran on the old format. That changed in 2025 when owners voted to extend the guaranteed possession rule to all games. Now every team in every overtime situation gets a shot, subject to the 10-minute clock. The coin toss still matters, winning it is still an advantage, but it can no longer be the deciding factor by itself. That's a meaningful distinction. By 2023, the kickoff had become the most pointless play in football. Teams were only returning 21.8% of kicks, an all-time low, because kickers had gotten so good at drilling the ball through the end zone that returners had no real choice but to take the touchback. The 2024 Super Bowl put an exclamation point on the problem. For the first time in league history, not a single kickoff was returned in the championship game. 11 kicks, 0 returns. The league had been watching the trend deteriorate for a decade. Total kickoff return yardage had dropped by more than 16,000 yards compared to 10 years prior. So the competition committee essentially blew up the format and started over, taking a page from the XFL, which had already run a version of a staggered alignment kickoff with far better results. Starting in 2024, the dynamic kickoff was in. Instead of coverage players sprinting full speed from the kick, both units lined up in a setup zone 25 yards from the kicker and couldn't move until the ball landed. The kicker still kicked from the 35, but the ball had to land in a zone between the goal line and the 20. Touchbacks were spotted at the 30 instead of the 25, a small but deliberate nudge toward returning. The results were real. Return rate jumped from 21.8% to 32.8%. There were 332 more returns on the season and 59 returns of 40-plus yards, the most since 2016. It wasn't a complete overhaul of special teams, plenty of coaches still kicked it deep and took the touchback, but the play was meaningfully back in the game. The league kept refining it. In 2025, they moved the touchback spot up to the 35-yard line, 5 yards deeper into the field, to make the touchback even less appealing, and adjusted receiving team alignment further. The goal the whole time has been the same: make the kickoff worth watching again, and they're getting there. In 2024, the NFL banned a specific tackling technique that had been spreading through the league for years and quietly racking up serious injuries. The hip drop tackle, or more precisely, the swivel hip drop, works like this. A defender wraps up a ball carrier, then rotates his hips and drops his full body weight directly onto the runner's legs below the knee. The ball carrier is already held. There's nowhere to go. The force all goes straight down onto the lower leg. The NFL analyzed over 20,000 tackles from 2022 and 2023 and found the technique caused lower extremity injuries at a rate 20 times higher than conventional tackling. Some internal figures put it closer to 25 times. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews was one of the most prominent victims. a hip drop tackle in November 2023 fractured his fibula and tore ligaments, costing him the rest of Baltimore's season, including the playoff run. Owners voted unanimously in March 2024 to ban it. The penalty is 15 yards and an automatic first down, with fines up to $22,511 for repeat offenders. Defensive players pushed back loudly. J.J. Watt posted that the league might as well fast forward to the belts with flags on them. The NFLPA formally opposed it, arguing the swivel action happens too fast for officials to reliably identify mid-play. Those concerns weren't entirely wrong. Enforcement has been inconsistent, and officials have missed calls. A Washington Commanders linebacker even became the first player suspended specifically for racking up hip drop violations in 2025. But the data behind the ban was never seriously challenged. Rich McKay framed it clearly. This isn't a broad tackling restriction, it's one specific dangerous technique. The runner is purely defenseless, he said. You've got to protect him. Whether the officiating ever fully catches up to the rule is still an open question. Replay in the NFL used to be a fairly contained tool. Coaches got two challenges. The booth stepped in for scoring plays and turnovers, and everything else stood. Over the past few seasons, that scope has expanded significantly. In 2024, officials gained the ability to use replay to review whether a quarterback had been ruled down before throwing a pass, and to confirm whether the game clock had expired before a snap. Narrow additions, but ones that address situations where a bad call had no legitimate correction mechanism under the old rules. The 2025 season pushed it further, allowing replay to flag certain personal fouls: horse collar tackles, hits on defenseless players, face mask, roughing the kicker, even when officials miss them live. The logic is straightforward. Cameras don't blink, and some of these fouls happen at angles or speeds that even elite officials can't track in real time. Heading into 2026, the NFL approved another expansion. Officials at the league's Game Day Central Command Center in New York can now advise on-field crews on clear and obvious errors across a broader range of plays, and can recommend disqualifications for flagrant acts that went unpenalized on the field. The catalyst for that last part was DK Metcalf's sideline altercation with a Lions fan during a 2025 regular season game. Refs didn't flag him. He played the rest of the game, Pittsburgh won, and Detroit missed the playoffs. He was suspended after the fact, but the league wanted a way to handle that during the game, not after. It's worth noting that the 2026 expansion also has a labor dimension. The NFL Referees Association's CBA expires May 31st. If there's no deal, the league could open the season with replacement officials, and the expanded command center oversight is partly a safeguard against that scenario. Whether a deal gets done is one of the bigger open questions hanging over the 2026 season. Lastly, we have onside kicks. The dynamic kickoff fixed a lot, but it created one significant problem. It essentially killed the onside kick. Under the 2024 rules, teams had to declare an onside attempt in advance, and could only do so while trailing in the fourth quarter. Defenses knew exactly what was coming. Recovery rates collapsed. Coaches stopped calling them because the math had flipped entirely against it. Starting in 2026, that restriction is gone. Any team can declare an onside kick at any point in the game, regardless of the score. The setup zone alignment still applies. You can't stack one side or try a surprise onside, but the win is no longer dictated by the scoreboard. A team down by 3 in the second quarter can go for it. A team that just scored and wants to keep the momentum could try. The unpredictability is back. It's a targeted fix, not a dramatic overhaul. But in a game where late game strategy gets dissected play by play, giving coaches back a genuine decision to make is more meaningful than it might sound. Zoom out and look at all of it together. Overtime, kickoffs, the hip drop ban, replay, onside kicks, and what you're looking at is a league that has spent the last 4 years genuinely trying to fix things. Not all of it has landed cleanly on the first try. The kickoff is still being tuned. The hip drop call is still inconsistently officiated. Overtime, even with the new rules, still produces frustrating endings when a team can't convert. But the NFL is making real decisions, not cosmetic ones. It's protecting players, reducing the role of luck, and trying to bring back plays that used to matter. The direction is right, even when the execution is messy. And with a referee labor situation potentially reshaping how games get called in 2026, there's still more to come.